This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. That right there's my little buddy Kelly Bidlin, everybody.
Good morning. How we doing?
Oh man, that was quite a night of deportes.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Late, tired, dragging. A lot of caffeine this morning, Gil.
You had the 7 p.m. Pacific. Forget us. 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Start time to a football game. That was the draggiest game of that felt like in terms of just the amount of changes of possessions late in that game. We'll get to all the football stuff coming up.
And then when you're like I had decent sized bets on the Seahawks too.
Oh, I did too.
So like you watch the whole thing and then you're all you're not. It's not like, oh, let me just go to bed immediately. Like no, you're all jacked up for a while still. So yeah.
Yeah.
All good stuff though.
All good stuff. And, of course, the big headliner, of course, was the ALCS Game 7 between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. We'll start there momentarily. We'll start there in moments. But today on the show, Paul Sporer with his reaction to that. And, of course, the World Series, which begins on Friday at Toronto. So you have a 2-3-2 with Games 1 and 2 at Toronto Friday and Saturday. And then it goes to Chavez Ravine Monday, Tuesday, and then, if necessary, Wednesday. Then, if necessary, back to Toronto Friday and Saturday night of the following week. We will talk to Sporer about that. Drew Dinsick on the NFL and the NBA. A special numbers game investigation reveals that the NBA season begins tonight.
Yeah. Happy NBA season, Gil. I know you're pumped.
Oh, I'm very excited. Kelly Bidley is going to break out of his shell and talk some NBA a little later. I know you got some...
Yeah.
I know you have like 27 bets or something like that.
I got a bunch of futures. Yep, a bunch of futures. Couple bets for tomorrow night. Nothing for tonight, but two great games to talk about.
Okay. And we will, by the way, Jeff Erickson will join us a little later to talk Week 8 in the National Football League and some fantasy as well. As we do each and every Tuesday, we will do NFL Power Rankings. Let me just say this is the first week where they kind of didn't change all that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of didn't change all that much.
Not like the past couple weeks, that's for sure.
Well, it's the first week where I guess we feel like we sort of have a handle on it now, to some degree. He says.
Yeah.
He says not confidently. And then, of course, our Week 8 Survivor preview. This is the most viewed clip week after week on our YouTube, on the VSiN YouTube channel. It is, there are 9 different teams this week, 9 that are 5.5-point favorites or greater. 9 of them.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You are still alive with one. I will go through it first, then we'll find out what Kelly is considering. Of the 9, I am not considering 6 of them. But if I were playing...
Same here.
Oh, okay. I hope maybe it's the same 6. Maybe it's the same 3.
I've got 3 in consideration, that's
3,
for sure.
I would consider playing from a bucket of 3. But we'll get into all that coming up. We do start, though, with the American League Championship Series, game number 7 last night, between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. If you are a Seattle fan, let's just throw betting to the side for a second. If you are a fan of this franchise, and you could see it on the faces of the folks who were watching the game, not only, of course, if they happen to catch one at the ballpark in Toronto, but really when they showed those Seahawks stands and folks who were just distraught wearing Mariners uniforms, because obviously while the Seahawks game was going down, it all changed. And so 49 years of Seattle baseball, 48 as the Mariners, 1 as the Seattle Pilots, still no World Series. And this after they led the Blue Jays 2-0 heading back to Seattle in this best of 7. They led game 3 2-0, and they led last night 3-1, Kelly, on a Julio Rodriguez leadoff double in the first. He was knocked in by Josh Naylor. A couple batters later, RBI single, 1-0 Seattle. The Blue Jays would tied in the bottom of the first on a Varsho 2-out RBI single. But then top of the third, Julio, leadoff solo jack, 2-1. Top of the 5th, Cal Raleigh, leadoff solo shot, 3-1 Mariners. And it just looked like this would be the year. But in the bottom of the 7th, Addison Barger with the leadoff walk. Then IKF, Kiner Falefa with the single. Yankees great. Jimenez with the sacrifice bunt to put runners on second and third, and then Edward Basardo, relieves Brian Wu. Wu helpless to look on from the dugout. And Basardo will be a name that Mariners fans, this is how this works with baseball, they'll remember that name forever. George Springer steps to the plate. George Springer, who of course had been to 2 World Series with the Houston Astros, won the World Series with the Astros in 2017, was the World Series MVP in 2017. And remember, he had a right knee contusion after being hit by a pitch in the right kneecap during Game 5 of this ALCS. X-rays on the knee were negative, was considered day-to-day, didn't sideline him, and when he was trying to swing in Game 6, every time he would swing, he would almost like fall to the ground, like his knee would go to the ground because he just didn't have the strength in it. He steps to the plate, and as Carl Ravitch called it on radio, he had his Kirk Gibson moment. Gone. 3-run jack. And the Jays went ahead, and then that was it because Chris Bassett came in through a 1-2-3/8. Chris Bassett, who had thrown a grand total of 1 2/3 innings since mid-September, September 18th, shows you how much the bullpen is, how confident the Jays are in their bullpen, that Bassett came in there. And then Jeff Hoffman, 1-2-3/9, ball game, series, the pennant. And the Blue Jays head back to the World Series for the first time since they won back-to-back World Series in 1992 and 1993, pre-strike, Kelly. You know this thing called the strike in 1994?
Yeah.
You aware of that? So it's the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. The Dodgers minus 215 series favorites. There you see some of the breakdown if you're watching us at VSiN.com or if you're watching on any of our outlets right now. Dodgers to sweep 6-1. Dodgers to win in 5 plus 330.
And man, if you like the Dodgers and live in a DraftKings state, rush to bet that. Because I am seeing minus 235, minus 245 out there. 215 is a pretty cheap series price on the Dodgers right now.
Well, so a couple things just to put this, first of all, a few things to put this in context. One, I was asked yesterday I wasn't J-Rod, not Julio Rodriguez, but our J-Rod, one of our loyal listeners.
Same thing.
Just same guy.
They same amount of money.
Walked off the diamond yesterday. He was like, let me ask you a question. He said, Max Scherzer paralleled it with the 2019 Washington Nationals. 2018 Nationals or 2019 Nationals? I can't even remember now. I get it mixed up with the Caps. 2019 Nationals. He said, because famously then, if you were listening to a numbers game, I said it is your obligation to bet the Nationals night after night, given the lines. 2003 it was the same thing. It was your obligation to bet the Marlins against the Yankees night after night because of the prices. Would it be your obligation here? It would not, because you're facing the Dodgers. But I will say this, before the season started, before the division series, by the way, let's put this in sort of context of where the Blue Jays and how the Blue Jays were regarded. Before the division series, so the final 8 of this postseason, the Blue Jays were plus 750. Only the Phillies, Mariners, and Dodgers were shorter at that point. Okay, there it is right there. Pardon me. Before the division series, right? Only excuse me. That is incorrect. What I just said. Before the division series, because it was a little different before the playoffs began, where they were actually a little more highly regarded. But before the division series, when it was only the final 8, only the Tigers in the AL were longer shots than the Blue Jays. But if you go back to the beginning of the regular season, if you go back to March, Kelly, do you know how many teams in the American League had longer odds to win the World Series than the Toronto Blue Jays?
I'm not going to look at the graphic, and I did not look when you sent this to me earlier. I'll go with 6.
3. The Angels, the Athletics, and the White Sox, who are not even pictured on this graphic because we only went 20 deep. Only 3 American League teams had longer odds than the 60-1 Blue Jays.
Wow.
By the way, at the end of last season, it was 75-1. And then over the offseason, it got to 60-1. But only the Angels, Athletics, and White Sox had longer odds to win the World Series before this regular season started in the American League than the Toronto Blue Jays. I actually texted with Adam Burke this morning because I'm like, can you remind me why the Blue Jays were so lightly regarded? And he very quickly said, he goes, 14 games under 500 last year. Pretty minimal free agent ads. Hoffman, the aforementioned Hoffman, Santander from the Orioles, and Max Scherzer, who we just mentioned. in a brutal division, right? The AL East was considered a brutal division, and it kind of was.
Yeah.
And they were 20th in slugging and 19th in batting average last year. So all that you put in the mix, and that's why they were so lightly regarded. But we had Joe Pita on here on the show several weeks ago. Do you remember this? A few weeks ago? I can't remember now in time. I think it was a few weeks ago. And remember, he was lamenting why he hadn't backed the Blue Jays as strongly as he was going to do moving forward. And I hope people paid heed to that, and I hope people follow the advice. And the crux of Joe's advice was, and he reminded me, because we used to bet rampantly baseball mid part of last decade, and we were betting on the Royals to win the World Series in 2015, the Giants in their 3 World Series runs, and even the Astros when they won it in 2017. That they all had something in common. That it was somewhat, not so much the Astros, but certainly with the Giants and the Royals, as related to these Blue Jays. Somewhat underwhelming rotations, but they don't strike out, right? A 17.8% K rate. That is their superpower. They make contact with the baseball. And once you make contact, things happen. So that was the combination. A slightly underwhelming starting rotation, certainly as the Giants, not all those Giants years, but a couple of those Giants years was that. Make contact with the baseball, and they're excellent on defense and turning batted balls into outs, especially turning double plays. And we saw that again with the Blue Jays last night. 2 dramatic ones early in that ball game. That's a recipe for a team, and so I hope people paid heed to that and bet the Blue Jays. But, up against the Dodgers, to me, Kelly, it kind of gets mitigated. I don't want to say thrown out the window, but the Dodgers are just such a behemoth. Can the Blue Jays win a game? Yes. I don't know if it gets back to Toronto for Game 6 and 7.
I hope not. Let's go Dodgers.
Coming back with football next.
If you're serious about football betting, VSiN's got your weekend game plan. Fridays at 7 p.m., it's the Circa Friday Football Invitational. Saturday morning, VSiN's college football tailgate show at 9 a.m., breaking down matchups, props, and big-time bets. Later that night, join the football contest show as the sharpest betting minds give you their picks for Sunday's game. And Sunday at 9 a.m., lock in with Mitch and Paulie on VSiN's Pro Football Tailgate Show. Your final stop before kickoff. Check out the full lineup at VSiN.com and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's Late Night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Coming up Tuesday on Money Moves, JVT is back at the desk with me, Stormy Bonantoni, as we recap a Monday Night Football doubleheader. It is also day 1 of the NBA season. We're tipping it off with our good friend Zach Cohen, who's going to help us break down all of the futures bet possibilities. And Adam Burke will give us his early look at the World Series set to get underway Friday. All that and more beginning right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern on Money Moves.
Numbers Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with Smarter Insights right now. You can check out our NBA betting guide. Check it out before the season tips off tonight. Tuesday night college football previews. Tuesday night college football, Kelly. Steve Makinen's NBA scheduling trends. Later today, you can check out Wes Reynolds' Bank of Utah Championship preview.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Bank of Utah Championship memory?
Well, Gil, they've only played it once, and then they renamed the thing, so this would be the first ever playing under the current name.
Thus the joke. Ergo the joke.
Long shots later today.
Zach Cohen's NBA best bets and favorite props, and Jonathan Davis's NHL best bets. It's all at VSiN.com. Unlock every article with VSiN Pro. The Sports Equinox Special gives you full access through May 1st, 2026. For just $120, sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe and stay sharp through spring. Haven't made those bets yet, but I think I'm going to go Dodgers sweep and Dodgers in 5. Believe so. And we'll talk about Dave Ross, our buddy's ticket here momentarily when we get Sporer on. Dave Ross with the 22-1 ticket on the Jays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At $3K, which is a free roll for him, right? That was the team he picked in the blackjack draft.
I believe so.
Okay.
Believe so.
So he's got to monetize that thing.
I would think so.
You bet the Dodgers, or you bet them on the series, or we'll talk about that coming up. Okay.
I also hope, though, he gets to be... I like the idea of him cashing a circuit ticket at the Mint Gaming Hall in Kentucky, because I'm not sure how many of those have been done yet. How many people are rolling in from Vegas to Kentucky to cash tickets?
How do you beat the Dodgers 4 out of 7 times, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going back to Canada, like you said.
Well, I don't know. I will bet against it. Let's put it that way. Last night, doubleheader in the National Football League. And they were both kind of similar games because the outcome was decided, it felt like, the entire time, but it just kept going with turnovers. First of all, Tampa Bay and Detroit. We won't give it the guessing lines treatment in terms of recap. All I really wanted to say about this was, Detroit came out strong. They went up 14-0. By the way, Seattle did the same thing in the next game, right? Detroit was up 14-0, and then Tampa Bay's subsequent drive. Baker goes deep to Mike Evans, and he lands, and he drops the ball because his entire body goes limp. He was concussed, and he broke his clavicle, and he's going to be out for a long time.
Yeah, that was bad, man. I don't know about you, but I know the broadcast was confused, too. I had no idea what happened at first.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks minimum. The 6 weeks seems really aggressive, but let's just say it's 8 weeks. Yeah. I mean, that's not quite to the end of the season, but when you add Igbuka being kind of, he was less than 100%, it felt like last night, and Baker was just throwing it high to everybody. It was it was his worst game of the year for sure. They just seemed off. And, to what extent the Lions had to do with that, obviously they deserve credit as well. But 24-9 ends up being the final in a game where it just felt closer, right? It was, at one point it was 14-9 early in the second half, and you're like, how is this so close? Anyway, Lions dominated, 379 to 251 in total yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 17 carries for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 82. What's that? 218 total yards from scrimmage. Anyway, Lions win it. They cover way under the total, 24-9.
Yeah, you are right with both of these games. There was so much going on back and forth. Like, I didn't really think about it in the moment, but the start of both of them, it was like, this is over.
These games are
domination.
Done. Yep.
And then you get into the second quarter, halftime, and you're like, how is the score this close?
I want to give the next game, though, a little bit of more of a guessing lines treatment. 14-0 Seattle hosting the Houston Texans. You're probably locked into baseball at this point, but Seattle breaks out to the 14-0 lead in the first quarter to end the first quarter. And then second time after that Houston got the ball, 2nd and 10 at their own 24. Stroud sacked by Ernest Jones. He fumbles. It's scooped up by Drake Thomas. On the way into the end zone, he gets the ball knocked out at the half a yard away from the goal line by Woody Marks, recovered by Braxton Berrios in the end zone. Initially ruled, hey, it's a safety. Nope, touchback because of the change of possession. But there was an illegal shift, so they took the penalty, and it was a 3-and-out anyway. But the point is that would have been 21-0. And it was a portent of things to come because Seattle could never really blow them out after this. Right, so it remained 14-0. They got to 14-3 and then 14-6 on 2 Fairbairn field goals. In between, Myers had a field goal attempt blocked. Second half, 14-6 Seattle. Houston, second play of the half, 2nd and 6 at their own 44. Stroud picked by Ernest Jones. Seattle set up at the Houston 38 after an illegal block on a return. 4th and 1 at the Houston 29. Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba for 18, but 1st and 10 at the 11. They have to settle for a Myers 26-yard field goal. Couldn't punch it in. 17-6. Then Houston, 4th and 6 at the Seattle 42. They decide to punt. I noted that. Did you think that was a little, what's the opposite of aggressive?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Seattle, 3rd and 7 now, own 7. Darnold sacked in the end zone by Will Anderson. He fumbles, and is recovered by Anderson. Touchdown, 2-point try fails, but all of a sudden it's 17-12 Seattle halfway through the third quarter in a game that should have been 21-0 going away.
Great punt decision, Gil.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was literally, they lined up for that punt. I was like, what are you doing? And then literally it was
worked out perfectly.
2 minutes later, you're like, oh, okay.
And one of you and I both had I was about to say the Mariners, the Seahawks in this. I'm like, how is this only a 5-point game? This is insane.
Yeah.
Seattle from their own, we'll just continue. Seattle from their own 38 to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Beautiful pass, by the way, by Darnold for 26. Just dropped it in there beautifully. But they had to settle for a Myers field goal again, 47-yarder, 20-12, 5:15 left third quarter. Houston then 3rd and 1 at their own 41, marks into a wall. 4th and 1, they go east-west, tries to go on the outside, 2-yard loss. So Seattle up 8, set up at the Houston 39, 3rd and 7 at the Houston 36 to JSN for 19. Then a PI at the 2 plays later, Charbonnet in from 2, 27-12, closing seconds of the third quarter. You're like, oh, they're going to run away with it again. Yeah, not so fast. Seattle, 13:21 left. 4th and 1 at the Houston 44. They punt. I'm like, okay, we're doing that now? We just want to go ultra conservative here? Next time Seattle got the ball, because Houston went 3 and out. 2nd and 14, their own 48. Darnold to Arroyo for 6, tackled by MJ Stewart. He fumbles, recovered by Al-Shaair. Houston set up at their own 46. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be a one-score game. No, but they turn over on downs. By the way, all of these possessions in the fourth quarter. Seattle, 1st and 18 at their own 38. Darnold picked by Derek Stingley Jr. But unnecessary roughness on Stingley on the return. They do get it to 1st and goal at the 3. Marks for 2. Then it's 2nd and goal at the 1. Stroud incomplete. 3rd and goal at the 1. Stroud pass batted down. 4th and goal at the 1. Stuffed. But a false start negates the play. Yeah. So they get it again. 4th and goal at the 6. And DeMarcus Lawrence appears to be completely offside. They don't make the call. Incomplete.
To be fair, did we ever end up seeing a straight down the line of scrimmage angle?
No.
Because it felt very obviously offsides, but we
did it wasn't straight down the line, but it was down the line enough where you're like, yeah, he's probably offsides.
Yeah.
Okay, it kept going. Seattle 3 and out. They punt from the back of their end zone. Then Houston from midfield. Stroud to Marks from 4 out. 27-19 with 2:04 left. Okay, it's a one-score game, right? Or a one-possession game, we should be more accurate when it's 8 points. 27-19 with 2:04 left, Kelly, and you have one timeout and you're the Houston Texans. So you're north of the 2-minute warning and you have one timeout. Here are your options. Option number 1 ought to be, well, if I know I can kick it out of the end zone, no time will run off the clock. They'll be deep in their territory. I still have the 2-minute warning and one timeout. If all goes well, I'll get the ball back with about a minute and change. Mm-hmm. Down 8. Or if I don't think I can confidently kick it out of the end zone, okay, then I will try the onside kick, which some people think is the better option. I don't really there. Because onside kick, you never know if 4 seconds will go. You don't know what's going to happen there.
Right. Your big point here is to try to leave that 4 seconds left.
You got to leave the 4 seconds.
So you get that extra time.
And the onside kick, forget the time, the onside kick, you will still, if they recover, onside kick, the chances of recovering it are so slim.
Yeah.
And they get the ball, Seattle would, in a position where even if you did stop them, you'd get it way back in your own territory, needing 8 points. So I think that's option 2. You know what option 3 is? Everything else.
Yes.
The worst option is letting them return the football, which is exactly what happened. And so we go south of the 2-minute warning, and that's just such an error, just such a mental error there.
No, you're right. It's booted out of the back of the end zone.
So didn't matter, by the way, in the end now, because even at best case scenario at this point, Houston would have gotten the ball back with mere seconds left now, having to matriculate to get 8 points. But what ended up happening is on third down, there was a unnecessary roughness, and it was a ball game from there. Seattle wins it 27-19. Seattle does cover, and it does go over the total. But that was like, how many times did Seattle have a chance to blow the Texans off the field and could not do that? The Seahawks were -3 in turnovers and won this game by 8. They held the Texans to 254 total yards. Good God.
Yeah,
and yet it was a dogfight.
Yeah, bit of a misleading final score, right?
That's the point. Absolutely.
But turnovers. But yeah, that's what happens. I'll have to ask Jeff Erickson, too, later. The running back splits have to be frustrating for fantasy owners in Seattle.
Oh, man.
I never know when to expect Walker or Charbonnet. I always think it's going to be Walker and then Charbonnet.
Another reason why I'm thrilled I don't have to deal with that. Coming back, Paul Sporer on the World Series next on A Numbers Game.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
The NBA betting season is tipping off, and VSiN's got you covered with our brand new NBA betting guide. We've packed it with key insights and betting trends, previews of all 30 teams, and of course, our experts' season-long best bets. It's the playbook you want in your hands before the first tip. The guide is exclusive for VSiN Pro members, so don't miss out. Sign up today at VSiN.com/subscribe and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Some of you may know I have issues checking email. And when I mean issues, I mean I just don't. Well, when we get Omaha Steaks emails, you know what Kelly does? He doesn't tell me about them on purpose. Football meets flavor with VSiN and Omaha Steaks, the official sponsor of tailgating. Built for the grill, Omaha Steaks smash burgers are pre-smashed. Oh, pre-smashed. Wow. Crafted from premium aged beef and go from freezer to bun in just 5 minutes with juicy, unforgettable flavor. Oh, man, I'm getting hungry. Look at that thing.
Yeah, seriously.
Look at that thing. And as a VSiN exclusive, you'll get 16 free smash burgers with any order of $129 or more, plus 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com/VSiN. That's omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. Are there 4 burgers in there?
Yeah.
Let me count
That
those
is
again.
4 burger
That
patties.
is 4 burger patties.
And a lot of slices of cheese.
Oh.
4 slices of cheese, I think, on there.
Some onions in there. Oh, man. Looks great.
Too early for that. I haven't eaten breakfast. I'm hungry.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. Montreal Max reposting what the New York Post did. Congratulations to Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly, who in all his years as a Yankee, as a player, and then all his years obviously as a manager, 43 years in the sport, he is going to the World Series for the first time.
Wow.
First time with the Toronto Blue Jays in their dugout. This is from Mark Maynard. Hey, Gil, listen to Guessing Lines yesterday, and your hatred of the greatest quarterback in the NFL is palpable. I understand your disappointment in the taco holders drafting a one-and-done Mac Jones ahead of him, but you'll be able to commiserate with the Bills, the Finns, and the Bills? Oh, with the Finns and Jets fans for 20 years. I don't know how the Bills got in there. He goes, sorry, ran out of digits, couldn't drop an LOL. Pats fans are the worst. He's being sarcastic. Again, I like a Drake May. I think he is very good. And I will say most New England fans who I've run into here after the show, very rational about it. They're like, you have no idea what's going on at WEEI. It's insane.
No, I can imagine.
Matt Trudell. Thanks for the heads up, Little Kelly Bidlin on DraftKings minus 215 series price. Locked it up in the series/double at plus money. Also got the best of the number on 49's parlay yesterday. 49's parlay yesterday. Thanks, no guessing lines. Thanks to guessing lines. What's the 49's parlay? I don't know if it's a typo or not. That's what you get when you read some of these.
Yeah.
Paul M. Little history in favor of the Jays. Yes, we mentioned this yesterday. He said the 4 previous times that a team going 7 games in the LCS has played a team that swept their LCS, all 4 times the 7-game winner has won each time. Yes, it happened in 1988, 2006, 2007, and 2012. 1988, famously, the Kirk Gibson Dodgers over the Athletics. Kirk Gibson parking it game 1 against Dennis Eckersley. 2006 was the Cardinals, right? Cardinals' worst, which I consider to be the worst World Series champion of all time. 2006 Cardinals. How did they win the World Series? Who was that against? Oh, yeah, the Tigers. Oh, sorry. Paul Sporer coming up against the Tigers. Oh, sorry about that. 2007 was, that was the Red Sox, famously, of course, against the Rockies. That was when the Rockies had won 22 of 23 games headed into the World Series.
Jeez.
It was insanity. They called it October Rocktober. And then the Red Sox rocked them, stomped them, swept them. And then, of course, 2012, who could forget? Sorry, Paul Sporer. Didn't mean to run into this pitch. San Francisco Giants doing it to his Detroit Tigers again in a sweep. I was at Game 4, courtesy of Johnny Detroit for that one. Paul Sporer, noted Detroit Tigers fan, joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line, at Sporer on Twitter. Paul, I did not intend for that to happen. I apologize.
Right.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
What was this trash stat? what even was it?
I don't even know how it started, Paul.
Total trash stat. It's only 4 times
By
a
the way,
small sample size. Yeah.
Can we also eliminate any notion of momentum? You talk about the Rockies. What was that series? What was that World Series?
Sweep.
Yeah. And they'd won 22 of 23. Momentum does not exist. Joe Sheehan's big on this. He calls it air-shaped words. It is so true. And we saw a microcosm of it last night. Everything was going in Seattle's favor. They had it until Springer, man. God, he's amazing.
He's amazing.
Look, if you're just a neutral observer, I was in that boat. I wanted Seattle, I did pick them, but I was kind of in that mode of like going to be bummed for whoever loses and happy for whoever wins, regardless of the outcome, because it was just so cool. It's going to be Seattle's first time if they made it. Toronto got a great fan base up there. I knew they were going to be geeked. Of course, whoever was going to win does seem like they're headed to slaughter, though, right? No one beats this Dodgers. I mean, they got to play the games. We do this a lot in sports. I'm having a hard time finding a way, though.
Yeah, so that's the obvious question I want to get to. First of all, let me say this about the Mariners fans too. Again, 49 years of this. The notion that you now have to, first of all, you have to stomach that, right? You were up 2-0 heading back to Seattle in the best of 7. You were up 2-0 in Game 3. You were up 3-1 yesterday heading into the 7th. It's just brutal because now it's an off season. It's spring training. It's 162 games.
Like
yes.
holding leads.
Oh,
if the offense had melted, that would have been tough, but it would have been like, okay, the offense they had during the regular season maybe didn't quite come to fruition and they rework it. Pitching held. No, it was the pitching that failed them. The pitching that made me think they were the number 1 seed in the AL and one of the best teams. Like, it failed them in key moments. And I got to say, my one question from yesterday is how Bizzardo goes back out there after the 2 innings the day before and pitching every game. I just thought maybe he needs to be more of a break glass in case of emergency. I know it's easy to question it now, but even going in, I was doing like a little DFS type thing where you're just picking a lineup for the day. And I purposely didn't pick him at a reliever. I'm like, well, they shouldn't pitch him. He pitched 2 innings yesterday. He's pitching damn near every game. Give this guy a breather. And if it goes long, you can bring in Bizzardo. Now they bring him in early and he does the damage in one of the most electric moments. Crazy, by the way, that we have an electric moment in Toronto that might actually supersede the best one ever, which is, of course, the Bautista bat flip. I think there's a case that Springer's is even better, of course, given what's at stake.
Well, let's go Joe Carter first, and then we'll go
Bautista. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's one of those like a Cy Young wins record. Sorry.
That's right.
That one is so far above. You can only match that. You can't beat that.
Springer,
that one's up there.
Between home and first, Springer elicited a little bit of a Joe Carter vibe there with his reaction as well. So so to the World Series then. So you've already sort of intimated what you're going with here. But let me ask you this way: if I were to come to you from the future and I said, hey, look, the Blue Jays won the World Series. They took 4 of 7 from the Dodgers. Now, short of the answer being, well, how did they? I'm going to ask you, how did this happen? Short of the answer being they scored more runs than the Dodgers did in 4 games, what's the path they took to win this?
I mean, I think it would be the pitching really stepping up. We've seen greatness from Savage. We know Bieber can be good, at least in kind of like 5-inning bursts, maybe not going to be going deep for him. And then Gausman and Scherzer. I think all 4 don't need to be perfect. I don't want to go too far with it. Yes, they got a crazy, crazy uphill battle, but we start laying out all these things that teams have to do. And it's not true, right? But I do think pitching, it starts there. One of the adages of baseball that I do agree with is that, momentum is next day's starting pitcher. That's the counter to the idea of momentum, meaning that it can change on a dime. And that is absolutely the case here for Toronto. They've got Gausman, Savage, Bieber, Scherzer, as I mentioned. That's a pretty good 4. Can they be, damn near NLCS Dodgers-esque? That's about what it's going to take. And I know that's a remarkably high bar that is unfair to put on any team in today's game of pitching. We don't even see that kind of pitching, but that is what Toronto's going to need, I think, to beat the Dodgers. Just a Herculean pitching performance. And I still worry about their bullpen. So we're going to need these guys to have the week of their life out of the bullpen too. I do believe in the offense. That is the one part of their team that I do think can actually make some noise, maybe against the relievers of the Dodgers, maybe not the starters, but it's going to be that pitching. If they have a fighting chance, it has to be with elite pitching, in my opinion.
I think that's the sort of the twist on this is we had gone into the postseason, or a lot of people went into the postseason and say, oh my God, the Dodgers, the weakness is obviously the bullpen, but the Dodgers are, heavy enough in the starting rotation they can throw like Glass now, right, if they wanted to, into the pen. Right. Obviously, he started a game here, and maybe we'll start game 4, I would imagine, here, or game 3. Obviously, we don't know what the official starters are, but it looks like it could be Snell, Yamamoto, 1, 2 again, and then whatever order of Glass now and Ohtani. But I guess what I'm getting at is as shaky as the Dodgers pen is, the Blue Jays might be worse on the pen side, right, at this point?
Agreed. And they don't have the pieces that can maybe make it better, like you're talking about with starters going in there. Chris Bassett's interesting, can eat up some innings, but he doesn't come out and dominate the way Tyler Glass now does if and when he's pitching in the bullpen, which again might be earlier in the series, as you mentioned, because it could work out that he could pitch an inning or 2 in game 1 maybe, and then still be available for his game 4 start. Talking about Glass now there. And they do have more bat missers in the Dodgers bullpen, and that's the key. I'm a Tigers fan, as you mentioned at the outset. That was why I was never terribly confident in this team really at any point in the year. I loved the early part of the year, but they had no swing and miss in the bullpen. And at least for all their issues within the bullpen, the Dodgers do have that. So, you can easily dream up a case where some of these guys do have the best week of their lives. It's a lot easier path than the Blue Jays. And again, I want to be optimistic. I want to have a great World Series here, but where does it come from? Even Jeff Hoffman, who I believe is super talented and really good, he had a 2-homer 9 this year. 2 as a closer. That's horrendous. 2 homers per 9 as a reliever is so impossibly bad. So Jays fans, I mean, stay excited because you're in the World Series, but I just don't know how to carve out the path of realism here. And I don't know how they're only plus 180. That's criminal. That is criminal to be. That's a weak ass number.
You think it
how
should be
only getting plus? It should be like double. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Plus 180?
Wow.
Lame. Don't waste your money. Give it to me. It's my birthday this week. Just send it over my way if you're looking to burn money.
Happy birthday and congratulations on the Lions last night, Paulie. Congratulations.
Big win there.
Big win there. Paul Sporer. We'll talk again, Paul, soon. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Coming back. Survivor Talk next.
It's that rare time of year when all 4 major sports are in action, the sports equinox. To celebrate, VSiN is giving you full access to VSiN Pro all the way through May 1st for just $120. That's best bets sent to your inbox daily, betting guides for every sport, AI-driven prop projections and matchup tools, and every VSiN show live through the VSiN Watch app. Lock in the sports equinox special today at VSiN.com/subscribe and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Join the guru, John Hansen, at the intersection of prop betting and fantasy sports on Prop Points, only on VSiN.
Lesson number 1, Patty's back. I still believe that Caleb Williams is not any good. And, other than Roma Dunze, I don't trust anyone that can't run the ball.
John and his guests will help you find the connection between the two and give you his expert advice on how to capitalize when a number is too good to pass up. Prop Points, weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN.
Numbers Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back on the Numbers Game, live from Circa Resort Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidlin. Later, Kelly on the NBA.
That's right.
Man's got to speak. He's got to speak his mind.
Drew Dinsick up in a bit, too.
Unleash him next. And Drew Dinsick on the NBA as well. Because, again, we discovered that the NBA season begins tonight.
That's right.
Real quick, some tweets before we get to a Survivor talk here. JP at JEP Junior 427. Otani. Oh, this is a free agency joke here. It says Otani finally gets to enjoy the infamous plane ride to Toronto. Remember that quote unquote flirtation with the Blue Jays? Yeah. Harold Irving. WEEI was once dubbed, quote, the fellowship of the miserable, unquote, by Rick Pitino. They can't help themselves when they have a little success. Talking about Drake May. Jason Stark. You're right, Gil. Cards 2006 were lucky enough to play the Mets in the NLCS, who totally blew it. Was at every game at Shea, and then the Tigers. And Benjamin Eckhoff. Because, you know, if you slander any team from any year, somebody will come out and try to call you on it. He says the 2006 Cardinals team is going to end up having 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on it. You're right. They're definitely going to have 4, right? Who is it? Wainwright, Molina, Yadier, Molina, Pujols, and Roland is already in. I don't know who the 5th would be, but certainly 4. But what I was referring to, obviously, was the regular season performance. The 2006 Cardinals were an 83-78 division winner.
We're missing a pitcher, aren't we?
Think about that. An 83-78 division winner. Chris Carpenter was their ace. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, though. Chris Carpenter was their ace.
Oh, is he not?
Chris Carpenter?
Yeah. He's not a Hall of Famer?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Chris Carpenter?
I was just asking. I have no idea. You know that.
No.
He was good, though.
Oh, he was great. He was great. I just the question was that they have 5. Anyway, whether they had 4 or 5 Hall of Famers is not the point. The point was that they were, you know, just a marginal team that happened to win the division. By the way, Chris Carpenter did win 2 Cy Youngs and won 2 World Series, 3-time All-Star. So, taking nothing away from it. You ready to talk Survivor?
Jim Edmonds was on that team?
Jim Edmonds was on that team also, yeah.
What a roster. Let's do it. Survivor, man.
We should probably have a Survivor intro, but we don't. We can do B. There you go. There's our intro. All right, 9 teams this week. 9 games in which the line is either 5.5 points or more. So 9 potential for those of you lucky enough to be alive in Survivor, and this kid right here is one of them. One of the remaining 4,000 plus in Circa Survivor, where roughly 25% of the entries remain. These are the 6 teams. Let's start with the 6 of those 9 that are 5.5 lined as 5.5 point favorites or greater that I would not consider playing, Kelly, this week.
All right.
These are the 6 of the 9 that I would not consider playing. First, Kansas City Omaha Chiefs. 10-point favorites against the Washington Commodores. Now, you say to yourself, why wouldn't you? I mean, Washington's probably not going to have Jaden Daniels. By the way, Jaden Daniels, MRI negative, not as serious as was feared, but we don't know if he's playing this week. The only reason, again, in Circa Survivor that I wouldn't play this, and this is a very Circa Survivor specific commentary here, is because you do have them Thanksgiving at Dallas. Not sure I would play them there, but you do have them Christmas hosting Denver. And just in case things break in a way where you want to save them, I don't know that I would shoot my bullet on the Chiefs here. I just don't know that I would. If you are in a non-Circa Survivor contest, absolutely I would play them. But in a Circa Survivor one, I don't think I would. Plus, there is a game at Tennessee in Week 16 as well. So I'm just saying they're not the best choice for Circa purposes.
Well, and geez, even Raiders Week 18 maybe, right?
Yeah, but Week 18 is squirrely.
Yeah.
So you don't want to really
plan
consider
on that,
Week 18s. Okay, next team that I would not consider of the 9, the Philadelphia Eagles. 7-point favorites against the Giants. Obviously, they got housed by the Giants 10 days. You know, what is it? Was it the Thursday night football game here a couple weeks back? But I would be saving the Eagles for the Thanksgiving quirk. They play the day after Thanksgiving. They host the Chicago Bears, so the Eagles are a no-go for me here. Oh, by the way, they also play the Raiders later, but it's really to save them for Thanksgiving.
That's the one. Unlike the Chiefs last week, I can confidently say I'm saving the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think that's a total save. Okay. Third of the big favorites that I would not play in Survivor is the Buffalo Billiards. If you still have the Bills left, they're at Carolina here. They're 7.5-point favorites. They do have an at Miami later in Week 10, a couple weeks later. I just have a funky feeling about this. I would not feel really confident about the Bills going into Carolina, probably because I'm traumatized by previous Bills choices in previous years, but they are not the best choice either. If you wanted to play them, I don't think it's the worst pick in the world, but I just think there are better choices. Number, what are we up to? Four now that I'm not playing? Or 5?
4.
4 of the 6 that I wouldn't consider of the big favorites. The Baltimore Ravens, who are hosting the Chicago Bears, they're 6.5-point favorites. Yes, they host the Bengals on Thanksgiving. That's a reason to save. Plus, they have other games here in the next month at Miami, at Cleveland, hosting the Jets, for God's sakes, Week 12. But the main reason I won't play the Ravens here, Kelly, is we don't know who's playing.
Yeah. If you still have the Ravens available like I do, Gil, I think it's, hey, let's take all the time you need to round into form.
Absolutely.
I hope to have you available down the road, but you need to get back to looking like a good football team.
100%. So that's 4 of the 6 that I would not consider playing in Circa Survivor. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are so banged up at this point. Again, after last night, no Mike Evans now, broken clavicle, concussed. They're favorites at New Orleans. By the way, this is 5.5. I'm not sure it's 5.5 anymore. I'd have to check on this.
Come down a little bit.
But if for no other reason, you have a home game against New Orleans Week 14.
Yeah.
So they're an easy cross-off, are the Buccaneers.
And you got the bye after this week, right? You're kind of limping into that, it feels like.
Oh, total limp in. Okay, and then the 6th of the 6 teams of 5.5-point favorites or greater that I would not play this week, the New England Patriots, who are hosting the Cleveland Browns, except that they host the Jets and the Giants, weeks 11 and 13. Do I like the prospect of playing against the Browns over the Jets? I do not. So while I wouldn't hate you for playing it, I still think there are 3 other teams from which I would play Survivor. And those 3 teams are, and we'll see if Kelly's match with these. I have a feeling they won't match entirely. The 3 teams, let's start with one of them here. By the way, here's just a recap of the Survivor teams I'm not considering. Patriots, Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Ravens, Buccaneers. Patriots hosting Cleveland, Chiefs hosting Washington, Eagles hosting the Giants, Bills at Carolina, Ravens hosting the Bears, and the Bucs at New Orleans. Now, the 3 teams I am considering, or I would consider if I were still in this thing. I keep having to remind myself I'm not in this, Kelly. The Colts are the obvious choice, right? The Colts are 2 touchdown favorites hosting the Titans.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the Titans. There is no other obvious place to play them either.
I think they have. I mean, I used them already.
Let's put it this way. That's the only thing that will mute this selection. So the Colts are the most obvious of all choices.
It's a good question, though. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I mean, geez, between that Raiders-Cardinals games, I think they've been used a fair amount.
All right, this might surprise some people, but the Falcons, I would have to consider too, 7.5-point favorites over the Dolphins. Yes, there is a game hosting Carolina later, Week 11. That's a division game. Some people hate that. Yes, there is a game at the Jets, Week 13. And then Week 18, once again, squirrely week, hosting New Orleans. You kind of want to avoid Week 18 as a rule. My point here is that at some point you're going to feel uncomfortable. At some point you're probably going to have to use them. Why not use them now with the lame duck, Mike McDaniel, and this Dolphins outfit? So I'd have to consider a Falcons play in addition to a Colts play. And then the other team, the final team that I would consider besides the Colts and the Falcons here, is and this is really just, I was surprised with 9 teams, I only would consider 3. It's the Bengals. The Bengals, who are 6.5-point favorites against the Jets. Yes, they host the Bears Week 9. Yes, they're at Miami Week 16, and they host the Browns Week 18. Why not now against this Jets outfit? We don't know who's starting at quarterback for the Jets. We don't know if it's going to be Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor. Taylor scares me more, to be honest. But I think the Bengals have extra rest here. It's Flacco with these receivers, and I think you're going, again, same thing as with the Falcons. You're going to be uncomfortable at some point using a team.
Yep.
For me, it's the Colts, Falcons, Bengals bucket from which I would consider a Survivor pick. You have one entry. Who are you considering?
I have one entry, Gil, and it is 2 of the 3 that you mentioned.
Oh, wow.
Bengals, Falcons. I think you have to. Like you said, you have to at least think about it. I think the they're both going to be stressful, right? The Falcons, I think they're a little bit of a mess right now with Penix back there at quarterback, but Miami's in complete free fall, so you have to consider it. Bengals, there's a couple of those spots down the road that maybe if Burrow comes back late.
I think if not now, when?
But you got to think about it this week with the Jets being as bad as they are. And then the Patriots I have up there because what I did last week was to position myself to at least have the Patriots available to play this week.
And you already used the Colts, so you can't use them.
Correct, yes.
Okay, there you go. Coming back, Drew Dinsick on the NBA.